here today to tell you the tale of two worlds, of two passions that are very different from each other, and yet somehow they come together to weave the story of my life of contrasts. Namaste, I'm Antara Sarkar, and I'm the founder of two very different initiatives, Sunday Class and the Pink Engine. Sunday Class is a free STEM school for children who are often overlooked by society. The Pink Engine is a company where we use the power of 3D printing to manufacture miniature models of Indian railway trains. At first glance, these two ventures probably seem like they run on parallel tracks that will never meet. Because in Sunday Class, I work in grassroots India to empower children and to build India's future. And I do it without making any profits. On the other hand, the Pink Engine is a business with a global reach, and there I try to preserve the past. So let me begin by telling you about the beating heart of my story. Welcome to Sunday Class. My volunteering journey began about 20 years back when I was a student in BITS Pilani, and I had this quiet urge to contribute to society. 10 years later, I walked into a government school to volunteer. The school was just outside of Delhi. And what I saw there absolutely shocked me. It had no furniture, no water, no toilets, nothing. But worse, the children, who were just about 10 to 12 years of age, were forcefully being pulled out of classrooms and pushed into factories and kitchens to work as daily wage laborers and domestic help. That was the story of almost every child there, and I wanted to change that narrative. So I started visiting their homes, dark, dilapidated structures, where the windows didn't even have glass or wood. They were covered in newspaper. I used to talk to the mothers who really had no hope, and to fathers who were drunk at dawn. They could barely hold a conversation with me. So maybe this wasn't my battle to fight, but I kept showing up over and over again, telling them about the benefits of education. And eventually, after months of returning to their homes, my classroom was once again full. I had gotten every single dropout child back into school. So was it victory? Yes and no. Because I soon realized from this raw, hard-hitting experience that just a seat in the classroom wasn't enough for the children. I had to create a sanctuary where they would feel seen, respected, protected, and heard. And that is how and why Sunday Class was born. We started in a humble basement. We had no infrastructure, no amenities, no funding, and really no perfect blueprint. It was just our creativity and our commitment to making a difference. And by we, I mean myself and my husband, Dr. Mitra, who has been the quiet but steady force that has been through this entire journey with me. From staying up late into the night planning lessons, from knocking on doors of children to get them back into school, from volunteering every single weekend for almost 10 years. He's been there every step of the way. So the two of us, we wanted to turn that basement not just into a classroom, but into a portal of possibilities. We wanted to bring the entire world into the basement. And so we got paper microscopes from Stanford University so that our kids could see the wonders of science. We used Lego to teach maths so that numbers were no longer intimidating. In fact, we taught our kids about journalism so that they know that they have a voice. They turned into movie makers, and so they were now storytellers and not just part of the audience. Hesitant hands learned robotics and computer programming. So we kept doing this lesson by lesson, and that hidden corner of a basement, well, it wasn't hidden anymore. It became a launch pad for dreams. Over time, we also realized that what good is a science lesson if a girl believes that her periods is an unmentionable disease? So we taught the children about menstruation. We taught our girls and we taught our boys. Again, what good is a maths lesson if a child doesn't know that he has a right to stand up against sexual abuse? And so we made the children aware of sexual abuse, how that they were never at fault, and that they must always raise their voice against it. We asked our children, why are LGBTQ plus identities always used as insults? And we taught them that we are all human beings and that we are all equal. So while we continued doing all of this, these conversations became a regular part of our daily life. So we were not whispering about these topics. We were loud and we were bold. But all this I have told you about Sunday class is about 10% of what we do. The other 90% happens throughout the rest of the week and outside of the basement. So we actually have enrolled our kids and sponsored their education in well-established schools and colleges. Those kids come and stay with us in our own home, sometimes for many weeks so that they can study. In their own households, they are burdened with household chores. So we want to free them of that. So they come and stay with us so that they get the right environment and the right support so they can pursue their education. As you can probably tell, these are not just our students, they are our children. And I have to tell you something important about Sunday class. We are not an organization. We are not backed by any organization. It's just us. It's just me, Onuru, with the help and support of our friends and family. We've been doing this for almost a decade now, giving our time, our energy, our resources, our home, without really taking anything in return. So you will not find corporate banners hanging in our basement. We do not get salaries deposited in our accounts at the end of the month. We do this as pure service, as pure seva. And it's because we truly believe that India's future is worth fighting for. Now, from the future, let me pull you into the past. What if you could hold a memory in your hand? Well, that's what Onurup and I wanted to do. We had, a lot of childhood nostalgia associated with Indian railway trains. Of traveling to different states, of the smell of hot chai at different stations. So we kind of wanted a model in our home that would remind us of that. So in some ways we wanted a time machine, I guess. So we looked for it everywhere. But to our surprise, none of it existed. We couldn't find one anywhere. So we created it. Using 3D printing and a pink filament, we decided to print our very own Indian railway engine. So the first one was pink, it was bright, it was bold, and it was full of promises. So that day, I remember telling Onuru that we're going to turn this into a company someday, and I'm going to call it the Pink Engine. So our personal project did turn into a business, the only one of its kind in the world. And we started using 3D printing and human craftsmanship to make a whole range of 1/100 Indian railway train models. And these miniature models started selling not just in India, but across the world. So every time we ship a model to a home or to a museum in Japan or to the US or to the UK, I feel so proud because I know a little part of India's innovation, of India's craftsmanship, of India's history now sits in different parts of the world. So now that you know about Sunday class and the Pink Engine, I guess you'll agree that my life is a life of contrast. So on one hand, Sunday class is about social impact, and on the other hand, the Pink Engine is a business. So yes, these two structures do look very different from each other, but their building blocks are the same. The building blocks are made up of passion, of commitment, of the desire to fill in gaps, of the desire to create paths that did not exist before. So for both of these ventures, they were born out of simple yet powerful ideas. Sunday class, because I wanted to give children their right to education, and I wanted to change the way education is delivered in our country. I wanted education to be hands-on, to be useful, to be something that they can apply in the real world. As for the Pink Engine, it's simple. We wanted something, it didn't exist, and so we created it. The second common thread between these two, and I say this with a lot of pride, is that they're both made in India. Sunday class because of my love for India, and because of the transformations that I want to see in her. The Pink Engine, everything we do, from designing, crafting, printing, manufacturing, all of it is done right here in India. The third building block, which is common to both, and it may surprise you, is women empowerment, starting with myself. So when I wanted to launch Sunday class, I faced a lot of resistance. I was told that I am too young to do this, that I was a woman, so it would be too much for me to handle. I was 30 years old. So this 30-year-old woman, I was 30 years old. So this 30-year-old woman created something that maybe was not thinkable for some others. I created Sunday class and turned it into a space where gender norms are not just questioned or challenged, they are redefined. Our children know that they're not bound by patriarchal practices and by gender roles. And our boys know that equality is their fight too. As for the Pink Engine, well, it's a world of technology, of trains, of modeling railways. There, women are not really seen, let alone heard. And I, of course, wanted to change that. So I hired young women. And for these young women at the Pink Engine, their salaries, it's not just money. It's their first taste of financial freedom. So through education in Sunday class and through economic empowerment at the Pink Engine, I strive every day to support young girls and women in India so that they can lead, they can thrive, and they can define success for themselves. Talking about success, well, 10 years back, I was fighting to get children back into primary school. Today, my kids are walking into colleges, they're planning their futures, they're deciding on their careers. Boys who wouldn't even say the word periods because it was so taboo, today buy sanitary napkins for the women in their family. At the Pink Engine, well, it's become bigger than us. Our models are sitting in museums, preserving history. So I saw success as the success of the children in Sunday class, of my business. I never realized that my personal growth also had a place here. But over the last few years, I have gotten, experienced many unexpected bonuses that life has given me, I would say. Being interviewed, being featured in books and articles, winning awards, or here today, standing on this TEDx stage. These are gifts that life has given me. And they are subtle reminders that if you pursue your passion, if you're committed to creating change, the universe will take you to destinations that were not even on your map. But my story wouldn't be complete if I did not tell you about the challenges that I have faced. So not every child I have taught has become a success story. Not every model we have crafted has flown off the shelves. People might view that as life, as wins and losses, but I see it a little differently. I think there are wins and lessons. Lessons if you're willing to learn. I have learned more in the last 10 years than I did in the first 27 years of my life. And so yes, on this journey of creating change, I have fallen, I've been scarred, I've been bruised, but I don't see them as my failures. They are proof. They are proof that I had the courage to fight, that I had the courage to make dreams come true, that I had the courage to show up when the going got tough, especially when the going got tough. So today, before I leave, I want to leave you with this question. What is that one thing for which you are willing to fight a war? For which you are willing to be scarred and bruised? For which you are willing to fall? Only to rise up and try again. And again. So, You're probably thinking you're not ready. You aren't. I wasn't either. But you will learn as you go. And as long as you are truly committed to creating change, and I say this from experience, what seems impossible today will one day be your life. Thank you very much. Namaste. Jai Hind.